Hello, everyone. I'm Linda Clark, and I'm one of the co-hosts of my podcast with David F. Anderson Sr. When he first invited all of us to join, I'll be honest, I didn't know much about dyslexia beyond the basic idea that it's a learning difference related to reading and writing. It wasn't something I thought had touched my life directly. But as we started digging into the research for the show, we were stunned by the statistics. David was right, it's impossible not to know someone who has dyslexia. The numbers revealed just how widespread dyslexia really is, and it made us realize how rarely it's openly discussed. I remember thinking, how could so many people be affected, yet so few conversations are happening about it? Our understanding deepened even more when David began sharing stories from his own life. Hearing firsthand what he'd experienced was eye-opening, not just for me, but for our whole team. It made the subject feel personal and urgent in a way that facts and figures never could. We all have those "if I only knew" moments, and I'd like to share one of mine. Think back. How many times have you heard someone misspell a word and casually corrected them, maybe even laughed a little? I know I've done it without a second thought, assuming it was just a harmless mistake. But after learning about the realities of dyslexia, I started to see those moments differently. Imagine living with a condition that affects your reading and writing in a world that doesn't openly acknowledge it. Every correction, every chuckle, can add up, making someone feel isolated or ashamed for something beyond their control. Hearing David's account, they'd never considered how their own reactions might contribute to the stigma. I can relate. Reflecting on my past, I realized there were times I'd unintentionally made things harder for someone struggling. It's humbling, but it's also why these conversations matter. There's no cure for dyslexia, but that doesn't mean we should ignore it or leave people to navigate it alone. By sharing stories, learning together, and being more mindful of our words and actions, we can help create a more understanding and supportive community for everyone. Let's keep the conversation going, listening each week to my podcast with David F. Anderson Sr. One story, one like, one share, can make a difference. Keep the conversation going by tuning in each week to my podcast with David F. Anderson Sr. One story, one like, and one share can make a difference. Visit our website at davidfandersonsr.com. That's davidfandersonsr.com. Show your support for our podcast. Buy a book. Thank you for listening.